Hello and welcome to another Star Citizen podcast. I am your adorable host, BoredGamer, and I'm also joined by Zin. Say hi, Zin.
Oh, yeah, hi.
You right, mate?
What, you're adorable and I'm just Zin.
Yeah, okay, well, if you say so, it must be true. So, we're going to be talking about Star Citizen now for 4.0.1 on the PTU, and what we want from Star Citizen this year, as well as some evolving bits and bobs on articles that we were discussing relatively recently about people leaving CIG and whether or not they have any veracity to them. I'm not sure if I used that word correctly, but you know what I mean.
I don't even know what that word means.
Well, we'll put it up on the screen. You can do a research on it. Bam. This is what veracity means. It's a thing. Alpha 4.0.1. It's on the PTUs and it's open PTU.
Woo.
Immediately available to all waves. I say immediately. It was a bit of a bumpy release. There was some pretty big crashes and problems with the release of that and people not being able to play properly, but they hotfixed it pretty quick from what I can tell, because I was just hearing about that, and when I've played it, it seems to be pretty good patch. 4.0.1, basically you can leave prison now so you can actually do prison missions, you can leave prison, you get your stuff that you need, put your minables in. Lots of missions seem to work. You can eat, drink, do your consumables, heal yourself properly again without terrible things happening or everything breaking. There's hundreds or over 100 fixes and a huge amount of polish in that patch. Is this the sort of stuff you're expecting from this 0.1 patch? As in just loads of playability, fixes, stability?
I mean, I'd expect it always.
Really? So you'd expect it? So when they release a patch, you are expecting them to have a level of playability there and not be broken, I suppose.
Well, I expect them to release point patches with playability and fixes.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, so point patch is much more focused at trying to get the game in a as playable, refined, bug-fixed state as possible, especially throughout 2025. The focus on playability is key. Do you think that's going to be more enjoyable for you as well, the playability focus?
Yeah, I think so.
Have you got any other expectations for this patch? Is there any other sort of, is it just more stability and fine-tuning here? Or are you expecting any features or anything, Tana?
I don't know what I'm expecting anymore, to be fair.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Do you think we'll see engineering before the next major patch?
Probably not.
Okay, so you think like 4.1, that's when we'll probably see engineering? Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's looking more and more likely, right? So January, very much a planning time for CIG. We're just seeing 4.0 kind of get into a more playable state. They haven't even put it on the full live build yet. It's on the preview build, and this patch, which fixes a load of stuff, is still on the PTU. I suppose, well, actually, one of the other things that's here as well is they've done a bit of a rework for the Ares Ion, which is that floating size 7 weapon with some wings on it. The ship no longer has a charge to its fire. So it's not a charge fire weapon. It is much more like it used to be.
Okay.
And I think that's going to make a lot of people happier. We'll have to wait and to see how this all shakes out and balances out in the future anyway. Once we have engineering, once we have some more physicalized damage and armor and things like Maelstrom, actual weapon and item component balance and that sort of stuff, things are going to change hugely anyway. With the ions in, how would you like it to work, out of curiosity? Do you want it to be this like super sniper ship? Do you want it to be good against fighters or good against medium and large ships? Where do you see it sort of fitting into the pantheon?
I think it should just be good against large ships. Okay. I think it should be difficult to hit small ships. If you happen to get off a lucky shot, fair enough.
Yep. Slow ships, medium ships, larger ships, sort of like a longer range version of a bomber, or at least it fulfills the role that a bomber would go after ship components and capital ships and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. Well, I sort of have to see again how that shakes out, but I think it will make a lot of people happier. So I want to ask a question, which we sort of talked a little bit about already. What do you want from Star Citizen this year? Is there any particular features that you want or expect? Where do you want the game to be by the end of the year?
Oh, I don't know now, because they've not really promised anything.
They've just said playability, right?
Yeah.
Playability focus, and they showed us off a load of stuff from CitizenCon 2024 that a lot of it is likely to turn up, or a good amount of it's likely to turn up this year. Do you want to see, or do you care about the sandworm raids?
I mean, it'll be fun, but again, like I said, to me, I'm not expecting anything unless they've said that's what they're going to do.
Okay.
And obviously, the only thing they've really promised is what's going to be part of 1.0. But, you know, when's 1.0 coming?
Yeah, that's fair. I suppose, my expectations are lots of the stuff that they showed at CitizenCon to turn up, a load of those ships that they showed off to be in, and for us to have a much more playable game by the end of the year. So it's something much more mainstream that people would see as a solid early access on Steam kind of thing. But obviously, Star Citizen unlikely to be on Steam. I was just using that as an example. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to want a lot of different stuff from Star Citizen, but more playable this year. Great. Like, obviously, they're trying to get that Squadron 42 game out by 2026, and a lot of the reason they want Star Citizen more playable is because they want everything refined. I think one of the most important things that's going to change is that we'll have a stable flight model that's much more refined by the end of the year. Obviously, they talked about ironing out master modes, putting a load of that binary decision choice of master modes actually into operator modes, it being a bit different. Do you expect us to actually have a flight model that they will continue with and that will be a lot more refined by the end of this year? Or do you think they're still going to be up in the air with it? It's changed so much over the last decade, right?
Well, even their plans for it that they had before have already changed, like a year or two ago.
Yeah, well, relatively recently, I think in September, they were basically talking about, September and November, they're going, look, there's a load we need to do for this. We're going to be working on it from 4.1 onwards. We're getting master modes. We're getting rid of master modes. No more binary decision choices. We're rolling that sort of same gameplay into operator modes, but it's basically going to be, you turn on your quantum drive, you don't have your shields, but you can sort of do that while you're doing other stuff as well, it seems. And they're sort of encouraging you to use quantum boost, which is a new thing, which is going to cut down faff and travel time, but also allows them to go, look, there's no inertia here. There's no risk of you bumping into things when you're using this mode either, because you sort of stop on a dime almost when you come out of it. So I am sort of excited for that. It does sort of make sense. It is a bit of a gamification of a lot of stuff. I'm okay with gamification in Star Citizen. I know a lot of people wanted this like sim game, but they're making an MMO. It's going to be a mixture of some cool little sim things and physical life stuff, and it looking very cool and playing. They want it to play like a game. They want it to be gamified. Do you think that's fair? Do you think a lot of people are going to be wanting like the sim stuff? You play Train Simulator and stuff, don't you?
It's different though.
Yeah, but a lot of people play it for different reasons, right?
I can actually go out and get a job as a train driver if I wanted to.
That's true. Probably pay you better than I do.
Well, maybe not.
Oh, yeah, indeed. Okay, I just think it's an interesting thing, right? Like, a lot of people want the more sim aspect. I'm more pro gamification of a lot of this stuff because I want to play without faff. And there's a lot of cool stuff I want to do in Star Citizen. I want to pose that question to everyone watching. Tell us in the comments below what you expect from Star Citizen this year, what you want from it by the end of the year, and what do you think we're actually going to get by the end of the year. And do you think we're going to see much in the way of new features this year? Obviously, I think we're going to see engineering and that sort of stuff. That's important. And Vulcan probably fully in-game. A load of stuff they showed at CitizenCon. Sandworm stuff. Potentially Nyx. Do you think we could say the Nyx system by the end of the year? I mean, I'm going to keep on asking you this pretty much every other podcast, but I'd like to see how the way your brain changes.
Yeah, possibly, but I don't think so.
Okay, hoping by 2026, if not. Something I do also want to talk about is, and we've talked about this before, and I've done a video on this before, lots of articles and stuff about Star Citizen staff leaving. More specifically, more recently, C-level, C-suite people leaving. So like top-level executives. That sort of stuff leaving. And a lot of the articles that we saw were all based on like a single outlet, which was pretty vague. They said, there's a lot of these C-suite people leaving, but we won't give you any names. It's like, well, that doesn't seem like a leak. That just seems like an I reckon. Since those articles, some people potentially have left. But I'm not sure if it's even related to those articles. I'm not sure if there's even information that was from the leak. So we had Carl Jones leave, who was CSO. Mm-hmm. Do you know what a CSO does, Sin?
Not really.
So they're strategy officer. They might work directly with some of the other C-suite people, the top-level people, other executives, Chris Roberts, stuff like that. They are looking at overall company strategy, potentially a bit of marketing, but a little bit of everything maybe, but making sure the vision of the company is sort of doing what the company wants to do and making sure stuff's efficient, sort of looking at the overall vision and strategy. So Carl Jones, been Star Citizen for over 10 years, seems to have really loved his time there. He left. He has had a little bit of a controversy where he was talking in a video about the gamification of CCUing and the gamification of buying ships with real money. So people saw that as a bit sort of like maybe predatory monetization or the sort of glorification of you're kind of getting people to pay to win as a evolution of Star Citizen's monetization model. And there's lots of stuff to criticize with Star Citizen's monetization, but I won't do that here. There's also now, well, I say now, both of these people actually left in December. So Carl Jones left in December, it seems, and Roger Godfrey. So Roger Godfrey was the lead producer for the Cortec team. The Cortec, pretty big and important team, but Carl Jones and Roger Godfrey, neither of them actual devs, from what I can tell. What do you think of that? Do you think that's like a big loss for CIG? I think he'd been there for like around 4 years, Roger Godfrey. So those two people, is that a big loss?
I don't know what these people really did. I don't know what effect they had on the game. Really, it's the sort of thing you won't notice until a year or two down the line if there is an effect.
Yeah, it is an interesting one because these are people that are sort of like are going to be doing daily management of the teams. They're going to be like maybe not have much in the way of any like development knowledge beyond what their team A, what are you supposed to be doing? You're supposed to be doing making sure all the hats work. Are the hats working? No. Why aren't they working? Cool. Get those hats working. And make sure that team B knows that the hats aren't working because of this. Oh yeah, we need team C to get in the hat physics so that they stay on the heads properly, and the hair tech, there's problems with the hair tech. So they sort of liaise with that and make sure their teams are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Mate, you sound like Valve.
They're making sure that the teams are doing what they're supposed to be doing and making sure the teams are doing that efficiently and try to improve that efficiency and get people motivated, kind of. That they'll be doing like stuff with Jira and management software and that sort of stuff. And a lot of people will be like, well, I don't really care what they do because they're not developing the game. They're improving potential development and they're motivating the teams to get stuff done. And it's important to have high-level managers doing some of this. You need people to be managed because otherwise there isn't cohesion. Oh my God, I'm just talking management speak.
Yeah, you are.
But it is kind of important.
The thing is, if their jobs had any sort of importance to them, they would be being done by someone else.
So what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Sorry.
Like somebody else will be taking on that role if it's that important.
Yeah.
So it's not like they've gone, we don't need this anymore, cut it out.
Wait, so you might with certain things. So it's possible that you would, maybe with a strategy officer, so CSO, Carl Jones' job, maybe you could push that on to a COO, like a chief operating officer or a development officer or another C-level suite person could actually take over some of that role. Like the chief marketing officer, you could actually go, well, we'll break this down into other C-suite executives, potentially. The lead producer, you probably do want a producer or sort of that level of management with the core tech team. But it depends on how the core tech team works, and are they splitting that core tech team down into other teams? Are they evolving what it does? It's possible that some of these roles are no longer needed or can be taken over by other people. It's also possible that they found better people for them, or just it's general movement in the industry. I do think that a decade of work that Carl Jones has done, I suspect that is a bit of a loss for CIG. He's been there for a long time, but doesn't mean that the stuff that he's already done for the company and the evolution of that is lost or anything. And sometimes people just leave, right?
Yeah. So this is the other thing I was thinking about, because you've got all of these articles and they talk about a lot of layoffs and stuff, but then they talk about these people who have resigned. Mm-hmm. And there's a difference between being laid off and choosing to quit.
Yeah, 100%.
So a lot of these people may just be, I'm bored of this now. It's the same stuff, 10 years in, I want something different.
And that looks exactly what has happened with like Carl Jones and Roger Godfrey and stuff. They seem to talk about their time there amazingly, like fantastic, best people I've ever worked with, had a great time, it's time for a new adventure. I think some people would also argue that some people like this have been forced to leave potentially because they were unwilling to change role or move. So obviously a lot of the focus has been brought into the UK studios, potentially even Canadian studios, kind of away from America. But that's a lot of I reckon and rumour more than actual knowledge, me knowing that. There was a couple of other things that I saw, these articles that we sort of referenced as well. I say these articles, a lot of them are just copy-pasted from a single article, but they talk about CIG company secretary, Dr. Martin Franz, no longer being the company secretary. They resigned. It was like, they resigned from company secretary, which I believe, from the most part, the company secretary just has to make sure minutes of meetings are recorded for Companies House and that the financials are submitted. But he's still general counsel for CIG. I believe he took over from Ortwin. Fryermuth.
Is that why we haven't had our financials yet?
So we haven't
because there's nobody actually doing it.
No, there's got to be someone doing it. I just don't know who it is. I will go and poke CIG about that because typically we've had the financials on the Cloud Imperium Games website by now each year, but it is over a week late from when I'd expect it. And I like the financials because it shows what they were doing the previous year, also makes some financial statements and some sort of company statements, but it might be that they're still working out exactly what they've got planned for this year. EKD, Eric Aaron Davies, people are saying that he's left. I say people, some of these articles are saying he's left. Some people are saying he's left because he doesn't appear on the Cloud Imperium's About page anymore under some of the higher level people. Okay. But his LinkedIn still says he works there.
He might have not updated his LinkedIn.
Might not have updated his LinkedIn. Also might not have left.
Yep.
He's Chief People Officer. I'm not entirely sure what that does. Overseeing all people, functions, and studio operations. I still don't know what that does. So I think that's a sort of multi-role C-suite person that sort of does a little bit of everything. Just make sure that the company and the people there are operating efficiently. Again, it's potentially something other people could do, or he could do other people's C-suite jobs as well. But we don't know that he's left. He's just not on the About page. There's lots of people not on the About page. Maybe they ran out of room. And then Tony Zerovic, he's still there. And he's still listed, well, as far as I know, he's still there. He's listed as Persistent Universe game director. And a lot of people keep on saying over the last year that Tony Zerovic's no longer there in articles. But I think he is. I've got no information to say that he's not. It's sort of weird. But I suppose Star Citizen is an interesting thing to a lot of these journalists because it's easy to cover, right? You can say kind of anything you want about Star Citizen. And you can say, yeah, it's a rumour. Or I heard this. And people go, oh, yeah. Wow, that scam game's doing that thing again. Yeah, do you think that's sort of fair to say that a lot of these articles go for low-hanging fruit and they're super vague about something and then elaborate on that and say, Star Citizen might have got rid of all its C-level suite staff. We haven't had a response from them and we haven't got any proof to say that they're still there today.
Yeah. Like, is it, I feel like journalism now just requires minimal effort. I think I said this before, I can't remember, but proper journalists, if they get a scoop, like somebody says, oh, this is happening and this company's doing this, that and the other, they'd contact the company and try and get a statement. Yep. Even if I would prefer them to say we've tried to contact Cloud Imperium, but they have yet to say anything, but nobody seems to have bothered.
Yep, no one seems to have bothered. It's super vague. It's all based on, well, according to this article. But this article doesn't reference any sources, and it was just an I reckon. But you're stating it almost as if it's fact. I hate it when articles reference their previous articles as fact. That had no facts in the.
The thing is, it's other articles referencing a different company's article as that's not a reference.
Well, it is a reference. It just has
it's a bad reference.
Yeah, it's a bad reference. It's sort of like, these people said that people had to work forever. They work for every day, and they're not allowed to have a break. And so, okay, well, that's not proven. That's a lot of people that I talk to at CIG. I've got a good amount of contacts there. They seem to love their jobs, and when I poke them about this stuff, they go, "I don't think so, but I don't know." There's a lot of them are pretty sort of like, I don't know if that person's here or not still. It's not my department. I did think that there's a lot of companies that go for the low-hanging fruit of, oh yeah, we'll just, I reckon, no one's going to check it. There's no investigative journalism anymore. There's no investigative journalism. There's no sort of level of, let me check. It's sort of like, oh, well, someone actually emailed me anonymously and said this. And they said they worked at CIG. I was like, did you vet them? Oh no, I couldn't get hold of them again. They emailed me anonymously from a burner account. I saw on Glassdoor where anyone can post that someone's angry about CIG and they said they got fired because of X, Y, and Z. And this matches up with this email. Do you think that's a bit coincidental? Yeah, because and 100%, and also that means they're definitely them. It's, oh God. But that is not to say that Star Citizen does not have its problems with the game, with management, with things they get wrong. Some of this stuff's going to definitely happen. It's just not all of it happens. Or I think it's a lot of this stuff is just sort of, I reckon, or silly stuff that people accuse Star Citizen as being a scam. It's not a scam. And they just sort of seem to make stuff up about it or make it out that's much worse than it is. Star Citizen and CIG are doing really well, in my opinion. You might not agree with their monetization model. The gaming industry has been producing some pretty trash games recently. A lot of studios are dying, and CIG seem to be producing a game that I really love the idea of, and I quite enjoy playing on occasion. Sometimes it's super buggy and stressful, and sometimes I'm like, oh, do I have to really get footage of this super bug? It's so hard to get. It's going to take me an hour to get 2 minutes of footage. But sometimes I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is so fun. And we're building towards that. It's so fun all the time once the game is less buggy. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Star Citizen. I love the project, what's and all. I'm sort of curious of what other people are thinking of it at the moment. Do you think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit when it comes to journalism, especially when it's Star Citizen, that no one or very few people seem to do any form of journalistic responsibility and investigation about Star Citizen now? They just go, oh yeah, this guy said that, bam, boom. And maybe that's true of the whole journalism industry. And do you think that actually CIG as a studio and Star Citizen's game doing pretty well, fantastically well, compared to most of the other stuff in the gaming industry? There's a lot of churn for staff in lots of other companies, and there's a lot of terrible games being made. Do you think that's fair? Is that what you see? Terrible games? Terrible?
Well, so I think part of it is because CIG is so open with their development and with their financials. You've got games companies still creating games. You've seen a lot of flops recently. Take Project Red. They're still developing games. They've got Witcher 4 coming. That still looks pretty good. Are they doing well as a company? I guess so. We don't really have a reference. But you do with CIG, and they look like they're doing pretty well.
So yeah, I mean, it's interesting, like with some of these other studios, right? Like the way that Star Citizen develops the game is a double-edged sword for sure, because they're constantly having a focus on them, and they give out a huge amount of information. And when something changes with CIG, I think it's quite easy to not attack them, but just sort of just go, wow, this is terrible. Look at this terrible. There's something about Star Citizen and the way that it's been developed and the information that's been given out about it that people seem to be able to easily attack it and don't care about whether it's wrong. But I suppose it's because maybe there's so much information about CIG and Star Citizen. I suppose it's because it's a hugely long development time and there's been big delays and there have been problems and people just go, oh, there's more problems with Star Citizen. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, more problems. You don't need to double check because you know there's been previous problems and you know it's still not fully released. And if you don't play Star Citizen and you don't follow the development, then you're just going to go, yeah. More journalistic responsibility, please.
Mm-hmm. There should be more journalistic responsibility, but also people just be a bit more critical, you know?
I mean, I'm pretty positive, Sin. I'm pro... Maybe I need to be more critical on some things.
But you are being critical. You're literally saying these articles are just non-articles. That's being critical. Like, where's the actual proof? That's being critical. Don't just read it and go, oh, well, that must be true. Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I suppose we are talking about some of this stuff might be true, but there's no real proof for it. Well, maybe you could say, well, actually, Roger Godfrey leaving and Carl Jones leaving what they were talking about. And maybe Eric Cohen Davies has left and haven't announced it yet. Things like that. Or maybe some of these leaks and rumours that people have based their articles on, this is what they heard, they've just put it together poorly. I don't know. It's just, use your critical thinking of your own brain. Don't assume anything without proof. And also, when it comes to Star Citizen and all this sort of stuff, in the short, medium and long term, probably not that important. It looks like they're genuinely making a game, and we'll get to that stage where that game is going to be good and release that 1.0. Hopefully have Squadron 42 in 2026. And yeah, it's been a long road and it's been delayed a lot, but we're getting there. It looks like it's a game that I'm excited about and happy about. And if you were upset about Star Citizen's management or whatever, well, Some of the management's had a bit of a shake-up, at least to a small degree. Maybe everything will be... I mean, even Chris Roberts went, look, we're sort of improving in efficiency and all that sort of stuff. 2025 is the year for playability, and 2026 is... We've got a clear pathway to release of Squadron 42 and 1.0. I mean, 1.0 2026, maybe, question mark, who knows? Sort of that was quite vague as well. I think I'm done. I had a proper rant there. Say goodbye, Zin.
Goodbye, Zin.
Thanks for watching. Sorry about all the ranting. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Peace out. We haven't got an outro yet, Zin, for NordVPN for this month.
Mm-hmm.
So you should... Oh, what's that? It's 2025. I don't want someone stealing my keyboard, and neither do you. Also, you can click the links below to get NordVPN. Everyone can agree on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have we decided on a ship giveaway?
Yes, we're giving away a Mirai Guardian.
Ooh.
Yes. Ooh, that's exciting. A single-seater, powerful, heavy fighter. I do think the QI variant's better, but maybe you can upgrade it.
We're not
We're not giving away that one. Also, CIG have given this one. They've gone, you want a ship for a giveaway? You can give that one away. I've gone, cool, I'll have that. Well, I'll give it away. Also, click the join button under my videos to help support the channel further. Like, share, subscribe, do all that sort of jazz. Thanks for watching. Happy 2025. Happy New Year. Click the links, join the buttons, comment and subscribes, and all the other things.